Okay, so it's actually like 4:30 in the morning. I think you guys can see why I'm up 24 hours a day. Sleep here and there. So if you watch the last video, and even if you don't have this tool, you could have applied everything that I laid out for you, and I don't know, made enough to retire. I'm only half joking because I know that some of you pulled out tens of thousands on Tuesday, and it's not difficult to do. If you just walk through the process, you should be able to do really well. So I'm just going to talk about a couple things here because the last few videos have been really long, and so I just want to get to some things about key turns and a couple other things that you can apply right now. You don't need to wait. Again, this should be simple enough that it just comes down to repetition and practice, which obviously everything comes down to that. But there's really no complication with this because we're just looking at the market. We're looking at market movement, and there's very specific things that we can do. So I actually brought this down to 1 minute. You can see up here to the left because I want to show you this. So if you watched the last video, I said if we get there, which obviously we did, we want to get out of our long positions and then tested to go short. Now it actually dropped a point and a half. But the reason why I wanted to break this down on a 1 minute chart is because it actually took 6 minutes to really make a go at it. So the topic of the last video was to buy highs and sell lows, which is totally contrary to what you've probably understood your whole life about buying low and selling high. Now, there's a time and a place for that, but when we are in the active live market, we don't have time for that. We don't have time to see if this is going to be the low of the day, let alone if we can even get in on it. Okay? We need to spend our time making money and not trying to short every single little high and buy every single little low. Okay? Have you ever heard somebody, or it's not really a saying, but have you ever heard someone say, "Yeah, I sold every high today, or every high tick today." And this is to imply that the market just kept climbing and climbing and climbing, and so they just kept selling. Okay, here's a new high, sell. A new high, sell. And obviously, you get absolutely slaughtered. So what we want to do is we want to follow where the market's going, not where we think is the high of the day or the low of the day. So I'm not going to go over this. I went over a lot of this in the previous video. I just want to show you the first breakout was here. So market opens for me right here on this candle. This is a 1 minute chart, and so we have some establishment here. So our first high. So we have this. Okay, clear run up, clear run down. First high is right here. We want to buy above that. So we're going to buy here, and we just kept climbing. So we have a line here. I'm not going to draw these in. So we have a line here. Okay, so if I'm following this here, you might have one here, but for sure here on this low right there. Okay, and the reason why we're drawing those lines is because we want to watch for breakdowns below those horizontal prices. You'll get better and better and better at this, and then at some point you don't even need to draw the lines in because you can just see it and you know where to get in. But I would encourage you to draw them because it shows you where to do it. Okay, it's very easy. It takes 2 seconds. Another breakout, another breakout. Okay, there's a pretty good chance we're going to go. So this low here, if we're not going to break that and we're going to have a breakout right here, and especially when this is set, there's a really good chance that we're going to climb. Okay, and there's times where we won't, but look, we put on risk, and fortunately, we don't have to risk a whole lot in this type of trading. The upside is so much greater than the downside. If you screw up or you miss out on a run, or let's say you get in short and then we go long, maybe it's a point to, let's just say it was 3 points. Big freaking deal. This is a 10-point run from this breakout, not from the low, but from this breakout. It's almost 15 from the low, but again, we're not trying to find the lowest tick of the day. That's not, we want to make money, not try to bet on highs and lows. Okay, so you should have been able to get 10 points out of that at $50 per point on the regular E-minis. That's not a bad, how long did that take? 50 to, by the time you got out, like 18 minutes. So $500 per contract in 18 minutes, I'll take that all day long. And so remember, we want to get out. We don't know that this is going to happen yet. We want to get out, go short. It gives you 6 minutes. Again, I will put this on a 1-minute chart so you can see this breakdown. Here's the first minute, second minute, we drop 1.5 points. Okay, we're still fighting this price here, the key turns price. And even when we break above it, we're still toying with it. Okay, so 6 whole minutes later, which is a fair amount of time to just sit at a level, we finally break. Okay, so we reverse, which is exactly what I told you in the prior video. If we get there, we short it. If we go above it, we're going to reverse. So you're long anywhere in here. Okay, 64.75 to 65, roughly, something like that. Another breakout. So it's hard to say what you would have been able to pull out of this because each of you have your own way of doing things. But we ultimately run to 85, and I'm not going to break all this down because it's the same exact process that I've just laid out for you. Okay, we're identifying lows, highs, breakdowns, breakouts, etc. Okay, so maybe let's just be conservative and say another 10 points because we actually climb 20 points to the high of the day. Okay, so you're probably looking at 20 points if you're new, maybe 15, and some of you probably 30 or 40 if you're getting in and out of a handful of these back and forth. So you're probably, I don't know, between $1,000 and $2,000 per contract Tuesday. Now that is a nice day. It's a really nice day. Okay. So what I also want to talk to you about just really quickly is for Wednesday, the 29th. And you can see here, well, actually, let me change this to a 5-minute chart, so just so it's a little bit easier to see stuff. So you can see here we're right smack, let me just squish this down. We're smack dab in the middle of 2 key turns levels. This is our 3rd position level. By the way, you can click this up here, and this little thing pops up, and you can see these prices. So typically what I do, you have 2 prices for each key turns level. And think of this as a tipping point. So in this one, because I'm pointing at it, the lower price is where we tip down, and then the upper price is where we tip up. Okay, that's all that means. There has to be some turning point, and so that's why there's 2 prices and 1 tick apart. Because at 6.5, we're still looking for shorts, and at 6.75, we're looking for longs. It's the exact tipping point to where this turns from down to up or up from down. Okay. Now, when we are smack dab in the middle like this, and this is huge, this is 56 all the way to 06. We have a 50-point range between our key turn prices. Now you'll also notice if you look at this right here, the data box. So what I do just to keep it simple for myself is I just look at the lower one. So in other words, 56.75, so that red bar right there, and then the yellow one, 56.75. So those happen to be the exact same prices. So down here, our first and second one, I actually need to do this so that it can hover over the right day. So our first one, so like yesterday, the red and green, that's always going to be the original key turns, and then I'll talk to you about that in a second. And then the other 2, these are the additional ones I just added. We treat them the same way. However, there's one thing that we do with the red one that we'll talk about after I tell you this. Okay, so both the first and second key turns levels, I don't have any fancy names for them. It's just 1, 2, and 3. Okay, let's just keep it simple. They're the same price. What's the significance of that? Nothing really. It's just where they ended up that for Wednesday. Okay, so we have this one up here at 065, 50 points away. So what do? Well, we do exactly what I just laid out. We look for breakouts and breakdowns. So what we want to do though is that there's a pretty good chance that we're going to run to one of these on Wednesday. A really good chance. So when volume picks up, now we're in Globex. If you look to the bottom right of my screen, it's 4:35 a.m. my time. Once we have volume kick in, there's a pretty good chance that we are going to run into one of these levels. Now, let me talk to you about this one. So the original key turns, this is the one that makes what I would phrase as the call of the day. And all that means is, are we up or are we down? And by now, you know that even if we're up, we can still short, and even if we're down, we can still buy, okay? Because of breakouts and breakdowns. So what this means is that the bias is up, and that is it. It doesn't mean that we can't drop down to these levels here. What it means is because the red and green are below price, it means that the bias is up. What does that mean? It means that there is more pressure to the upside, more of a likelihood of a rise than a fall. But hear me, it does not mean that we can't drop down here. That's some significant movement. Now, obviously, we would prefer if price was closer to this because then there's not a lot of room for error. But what saves us is understanding how to get in on breakouts and breakdowns. And it's so simple. It's such an easy way to get in and out of the market. And as you learned, let's make this normal size now. As you learned from Tuesday, it was very profitable to buy highs and to sell lows. And if you did that, you made a killing on Tuesday. What are we going to do Wednesday? We are going to do the same dang thing. We are going to draw our lines in. We are going to look for breakouts and breakdowns. Now, what I will tell you though is, and this just comes with experience, we have this kind of big fat channel where, this isn't like perfect, but do you see how from where we peaked out here and then we've dropped, we've kind of sat roughly in this same type of zone from these highs that were set earlier. So this high right here, if you look at my crosshairs all the way to the right, you can see we actually went to the tick, and then we kind of played with these highs as well through all this range, and then we have this. So we kind of have this big fat range, I would say, to give you an exact price, 32.81 and a quarter, and then obviously these highs up here. And so these highs are going to be probably, I would probably look at a range of 88.5 and then the high tick of 90.75. Okay, so we have this big fat range here. So what do we do with that? Well, we still trade breakouts and breakdowns, but we want to watch this because what needs to happen, and this is obvious. There's a lot of things that I say, it's just obvious. People hear me talk and then their instant reaction is, yeah, well, duh. But that duh aspect of what I'm telling you is where the money's at. So if you listen to me and you watch what happens, and I'm doing this in real time, this is not like I'm talking after the fact, you should do well. I mean, there's no reason not to. So we want to pay attention to that, and the reason why is because once we have succession, like we can hold below here or hold above here, we will run to that next price. It's very likely because we've tested it so many times that once we have strength to that, we're gonna go there. So the prices, those of you that don't have this yet, or still, you're thinking about it, we got 3306.5. That's our third position. That's our third key turns line. And then both the first and second ones are both at 3256.75. So throw those up on your chart. This is on the ES. And we're going to do exactly what we've laid out in the last, I don't know how many videos we're at now, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't even know. But that's it. So we're just going to do that. And we're going to do it every single day. So that's all I really want to talk about in this one. I'll put up another probably 2 more videos before or by the 31st, which I believe is Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And anyways, so let's go at it, and market opens in just under 3 hours, 2 hours and 50 minutes to be exact, 49 minutes now. So just apply those techniques and you will be very happy with your results. And I know that because I get emails every single day of people that don't even have this indicator, that have been watching these videos, that are applying this, and doing extremely well. So that's enough for this one. Have fun trading Wednesday, January 29th, and we'll see you in the next video.